So after 32 years, this Kenyan man was zoned out of his mechanic business and forced to move back to Kenya. And this is a good story, basically highlighting how some of these cities and government organizations have figured out how to basically trick us out of our ownership and hard work. This is a good one. Let's sit back and watch this. It's Ricky Rich with Black Primacy. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on your notifications.
It was one of those nightmares that you never want to go through. When they told me that I had to move, I couldn't believe it. I had put everything in it, and I didn't know that anything like that could happen.
This is the story about one of the most egregious forms of zoning abuse we've ever seen. My name is Ari Bargyum, and I fought alongside Hinga to save his business from a morally bankrupt city council. For 30 years, he operated Hinga's Automotive on Ross Avenue in Dallas, Texas. But one day, the city decided they didn't want any more auto mechanic shops in that part of town. To create a gateway to a non-existent arts district, Dallas rezoned Hinga's shop, making it illegal for him to operate it on his own land.
You could be operating.
Man, could y'all believe? I mean, just think for a second what. And I've seen this kind of thing happen. Oddly enough, they did it in a city out here. If you're not from LA, we got a city not far from where I'm at called Gardena. They changed the zoning in Gardena to prevent strip clubs from operating. So if you're familiar with the area, there were quite a few strip clubs. Those have all since been closed down because of a zoning change. Now, in this case, at least from what I read, they had like a 20-year warning, which I kind of think is fair, depending on the business, right? You got 20 years to, figure it out and get to another area. It does not seem like that was the case for this gentleman. But could you just imagine being in business for 32 years like him, and you're doing well, you taking care of your family, probably close to trying to, retire in a sense, or you're strictly taking care of your family and creating jobs within your family as well. And they one day you get a notification that you got to pack up and move. You got to close your business. Your business is all of a sudden illegal to operate in the area. Like, I couldn't imagine like being comfortable in your situation and getting hit with some news like that. It's not right, and it sucks because unfortunately it happens to gentlemen like this who may not have the knowledge or the resources to even see it coming, and they'll probably explain more here as to why, or the excuses that probably came from the city, but he's not operating a strip club, right? He's doing something that is needed in a community, running his business obviously successfully for 32 years, and this is the type of stuff that happens. So I'm sharing this just simply to help open our minds to the things that are happening out there as entrepreneurs.
A business right here, a legit business, and then the city, if they decide that you have to move, you can lose your livelihood.
But by rezoning Hinga's shop, taking his business is effectively exactly what Dallas did. The top-down thinkers in the Dallas City Council decided that they'd prefer that his land be a restaurant or something else that would appeal to Hinga's up-and-coming neighbors.
I don't know Mr. Hinga. I've looked at it.
So basically, it sounds like there was some, gentrification going on. City didn't care about the area before, and they're trying to bring it up, make the city that area up and coming, and want probably some fancy restaurant there, or well, what are the I always tell people when things are getting ready to change, when you got places like Trader Joe's, Sprouts, Whole Foods. When they start moving in, that's when especially if you're a old time business owner, the writing is on the wall, right? High rise apartments, another one. And also on the flip side, if you're someone that's looking for a home and you go into and you got one of those businesses nearby your home, the home that you're looking at purchasing, that's probably a good look, in terms of where that community is at least trying to head, but yeah, either way, that would have been a sign right there. And I'm sure they had all kinds of things popping up, but he probably didn't know. He probably didn't know that, the writing was on the wall.
Shop, it looks like a neat, clean shop, and everybody needs to get their car fixed. We all acknowledge that, but unfortunately, sometimes when you have a proliferation of these auto-related businesses, you're not going to get national credit tenants come in like Starbucks, Macaroni Grill, or nice sit-down restaurants and so forth. They're not going to spend $1 million or $2 million to be next door. You would love that live and let live, but it just doesn't seem to work.
The problem with zoning is that it is the opposite.
And he kind of said exactly what I was saying. You got certain places that are moving in and trying to move in and bring up the value of that area, and they're unwilling to move next to said places. And so, in my opinion, this is just my opinion. I'm not speaking on fact at all in this section. I feel that the people with the most stake are the ones that are moving this. The people with the property owners in the area, like we said, high-rise business, high-rise apartments, or anybody that just has stake, even people who have stake in some of these businesses that want to move in, right? They're the ones with the dollars that are talking to people like this gentleman that I have on the screen here, and basically getting them to make the moves, right? They got the deep pockets, so they're able to say, hey, we want to move in, man. You got to figure it out. And then they go and change the zone on this guy, and, realistically, if they and we still don't know. I mean, we're only given limited information. It sounds like this video is catered towards tugging at our heartstrings, so we don't really have all of the information, right? So I can say that. But I feel like it would only be fair for them to offer him another location somewhere that is comparable, right? To help offset the situation. How you just walk in and just say I'm illegal? Like, you got it. Like, how about you, since y'all want to move me so bad, offer me something, and they may have, but the first few minutes of the video, they haven't discussed it, at least, but let's see, I guess.
The problem with zoning is that it is the opposite of live and let live. It gives governments, and by extension, neighbors and politically connected community members, the ability to tell property owners what they can do on their own land. In other words, it leaves government with immense power to restrict how people use their own private property, and it empowers it to punish them if their desired uses are inconsistent with the government's planning goals. But it doesn't stop there. For example, governments use zoning all the time to make it harder for property owners and builders to create additional housing, or even do something as kind and as simple as feeding or housing the homeless.
The zoning laws are very discriminative. For somebody who is a small businessman, it's hard to make it here. You can't have a restaurant here, you can't have a mechanic shop or whatever. That's ridiculous.
After fighting for years, Hinga decided to give up on his American dream and return to his native Kenya, where he started a new life from scratch. He sold his property and left everything behind for his daughter to run.
In Kenya, I can do what I want with my land. Here, the laws make it impossible for you to do what you want, because after 32 years in business, there's no reason why somebody can come up and tell you that you can't operate this business.
In the end, Dallas got what it wanted. It's not exactly a Starbucks, but Hinga's property is now a trendy group fitness studio.
It has changed me. It has changed who I am. I don't have the faith that I had in government, in the city, in people that, I lost my trust even in the American dream. I'm a skeptic now. You could be in business today, doing real well, and tomorrow they could close you down.
Hinga's not alone in his fight against
I think that's the
zoning
gist
abuse.
of it.
Every day, cities and
they go
counties
on to
across
other
the
people
country
here.
pass
Let's
unconstitutional
see
zoning
a little
ordinances
bit.
that strip Americans of their property rights. Modern zoning empowers government regulators and planners to pick and choose what use can go where. This goes well beyond regulating to protect health and safety, like prohibiting a chemical plant next to an elementary school. These laws are often passed under the auspices of preserving neighborhood character or ensuring community harmony. But those are just euphemisms for the belief that governments can control every aspect of what happens on your land. In doing so, zoning laws cement in place many of the most problematic property issues we're facing today. From home-based businesses to housing affordability and homelessness, to even having a garden in your front yard, zoning laws make matters worse. A good example is Seattle's so-called mandatory housing affordability law, which makes it less affordable to build low-cost housing in the city.
Oh yeah, let's check
That's
this one out
because
real
for
quick.
even the smallest builder, you must either include below-market units in any project or pay a fee into the city's affordable housing fund.
$75,000. That's how much they said this building permit would cost me.
Anita Adams and her family live in Seattle, where most homes are out of reach for middle-income Americans. To keep her family together, Anita decided to build a second home on her property for her kids. But because she lives in a so-called MHA zone inside the lines drawn on this map, it's going to cost her tens of thousands of dollars, a sum that goes well beyond what's legally permitted under the circumstances.
See, and we'll stop it there. I think that go on to other examples, but just that last example there is what makes real estate so difficult. It's like, and I've studied real estate. I actually have my license. So hey, if you're in California, let me know if you're trying to buy a house. I'll that's a little marketing little marketing tidbit for you right there. But I think the most difficult thing, especially when it comes to understanding true ownership in real estate, is like when do we actually own the property to do what we want, right? And the answer to that really is never. I mean, you see, she owns the property, right? And even that ownership, like speaking in terms of housing, is a gray area for me when I discuss it, but because typically ownership means it's paid full and clear, and a lot of people, they say they own their home, but they don't really own their home because they owe the bank more than what they actually have in stake, right? But that aside, it's her property, right? She should be able to build on it without any as long as it fits, right? I mean, I wouldn't want my neighbor to build something that could be potentially hazardous to my property, right? So I think that there should be some sort of regulation and laws in that regard. But if I want to build a back house so that I can house my family, or add an addition to my house, right? Maybe we've outgrown a house, right? Maybe I have a 3-bedroom house on a big giant lot and I want to build out on it so that I can fit a growing family, right? It should not cost an arm. I shouldn't have to pay the city to build on my property. I don't think I'll ever understand that. If I paid for this land, it should not cost me more outside of the materials to build. It should not cost me more to build on my own land. I mean, where do we call it ownership if I have to go pay somebody to do something on my land? I own this phone outright. I own this phone. If I want to take this phone and glue something on the back of it, right? I shouldn't have to call Samsung and say, "Hey, I want to glue something on the back of my phone. I want to put another camera on the back. Like, this is my phone. I can do whatever I want with it, right?" I feel like the same should be when it comes to property, obviously within reason, right? And so I don't know, just seeing this type of stuff with the zoning, and they actually, in the real estate course, they actually talked about the different zones and the changing of zones, and it actually said explicitly in there the government has the right to change the zone really without any warning. And so it just it always begged the question to me of like true ownership. Like, do we ever truly, y'all let me know what y'all think. Do you all think that we ever truly are able to own anything in this country? At least anything of great value, right? Like, I can own this pen, I can own the phone, I can own this computer, I can do whatever I want with it for the most part and not suffer, any extra costs or consequences. But when it comes to the bigger assets, you damn near can't own anything. Like, it could all be stripped away. Like he said, after 32 years, he just, hey, you got to go. And he fought and ended up having to just sell it off and get up out of the country and go run his business elsewhere. So I wanted to share this really just for information purposes. I think this is for those of us who are looking into ownership, for those of us who are looking to run businesses. This is something that was, I don't think I've heard of this actually happening. Like I said, I studied it, but I haven't seen any stories of, and I'm sure it happens all the time. I'm sure if I just do a Google search, I can pull up all kinds of stories. But I haven't really seen any stories of someone getting zoned out, really without notice. Again, we don't know the details of this. Maybe he did have notice, but it didn't seem like there was much notice. And it said they ultimately turned his mechanic shop into a fitness center. So you already know what's around there. It's fitness center. There's probably a couple of eateries, a coffee shop, and there's probably right across the street there's a high rise apartment. So Y'all let me know what y'all think. I found this very interesting, and we have to share these types of things, especially within the Black community, as we all are trying to figure out how to achieve this so-called American dream, this facade of a dream, right? Y'all let me know what y'all think. It's Ricky Rich with Black Primacy. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on your notifications.